Hello and welcome to episode 1068 of the Sleeper and the Bust. It is Tuesday, June 21st. I'm your host, Paul Sporer, joined this morning by Justin Mason. Justin, it's been a long time. How you been?
I know. I feel like I haven't talked to you forever. It's just,
And this little Monday episode come out. If for some reason you downloaded it and it was the wrong episode, go ahead and re-download that. It's good to go. Justin got on that fix real quick. So hopefully most y'all did not have to worry about that, but some of you early downloaders, appreciate y'all, and thanks for letting us know when anytime anything like that happens, just let us know. We'll get it fixed right away. So way to be Johnny on the spot there. We're going to talk some news, couple rehabs starting, somebody not going on the IL, and then I want to talk about some sneaky standout studs and really want to get your thoughts on what can we expect in the second half of the season. We're not quite at the halfway point or anything. In fact, it's kind of crazy because I feel like the season's been really going for a while, and it has. Obviously, we're into late June, but at the same time, there's still a lot of season left, almost 100 games for everybody. But I still want to get your thoughts on these guys because there is so much season left, so much can change. So we'll get into that. But let's start with something that really shocked me. Manny Machado did not go to the IL. I mean,
yeah.
I retweeted Kevin Acee yesterday, a beat reporter for the Padres, for the Union Tribune. Said, good Lord, Manny Machado just walked through the clubhouse walking perfectly normally. He said, no time to talk, too busy. And then Kevin comment says, he's too busy healing, evidently. I mean, that's incredible news. What do we make of it?
I'm still always a little skeptical when it comes to these type of things. I mean, like Jason said, their initial report was like a grade 3 ankle sprain,
but not from them. Not from them. I think you saw that on the internet there. Because then I looked up the other thing that we saw on our show yesterday. 1 to 2 sprain was a speculation by another injury person.
So yeah, I mean, I don't know, man. It's clearly doing well enough where he's not in any sort of walking boot. He's not immobilized. We'll see. They're in a dogfight in this division, and they're already missing their best player in Tatis. I don't know that they can really afford to lose Machado for an extended period of time and keep up with now Mookie Bettless Dodgers and my Giants, who are trailing them by 3.5 games. So I think they'd love Machado to be able to play, and I think so. The fact that they haven't put him on the IL, they say they're optimistic that he won't need to go on the IL, it's great. Question becomes now: does CJ Abrams stay up?
Yeah, that's the question for sure.
Went, I think, 0 for 3 last night in the game against the not the Royals,
Diamondbacks. Problem is he's done nothing in the majors to like really suggest that he needs to be up. It's small sample. I'm not burying him. I'm not out on Abrams, but he's not having that like fast start to his career where he can force his way in to be like, hey, I got to stay. He has a 52 WRC plus.
Yeah, he still has so much talent.
Of course. But again, we talked about it yesterday about how he has limited upper minors time. I just personally don't think he's ready yet. So we'll see if they need him. Obviously, they have somebody at the ready there that they can give an extended shot to in Abrams to see if he's the guy. But they might not need to do that because apparently Machado has been doing all right. We'll see how it goes.
The pressure's going to be on for Abrams. I mean, he's going to, we thought that Machado was going to miss significant time. It's clear that he's not going to miss significant time, even if he misses the next few days. So if he doesn't hit the next few days,
it doesn't seem like it. I don't know. I don't know how things could develop. Could it really go south, or do we think that this is inherently a good sign that it won't be bad?
Things can always go south, right? Like, all of a sudden, like it swells up on him, and but the fact that he's already walking around without a boot, like, is a pretty good sign that things are gonna go in a positive direction. Yeah. So I assume they'll be careful with him for at least a few more days. And we'll probably hear reports about him testing it out, or maybe even we'll see him like jogging or whatever on the field later today. So just kind of keep an eye on that. Yeah, I'm kind of glad I didn't reserve him.
Yeah,
in the league I got him in. So
keep tabs on Machado right now. Hopefully we get good news because having him out on the field is fun. He's just playing his ass off this year. Max Scherzer going to return with or start a rehab assignment. To start working his way back. nothing obviously actionable there. We watch it, we put him in instantly. My question to you, I guess, is, McGill will eventually be working his way back too. What do you think of David Peterson? He had a good outing yesterday against the Marlins. He's got his believers in the community. He has a 3.18 ERA, 135 whip, which is a little high. He walks too many guys. Do you think he's in danger of losing his job here once both guys get back? He doesn't have to lose it with Max coming back. But how do you feel about Peterson, and is he in danger once McGill comes back?
He's probably in some sort of danger. Especially with DeGrom working his way back too. So it's DeGrom is
I've never figured out the pronunciation on that one.
Yeah.
If it's a lower tier player, I don't really care, with all due respect.
Obviously Trevor Williams is going to lose a spot in the rotation. Yeah. I wouldn't be surprised to see them move into a 6-man.
That's kind of what I was getting into with the David Peterson thing. Do they maybe
because
go
he's the lefty, and do they want to hold an entire right-handed rotation? And Peterson, like you said, has been pitching well. Now, the caveat being the slider has been fantastic, and that's really been about it.
Mm-hmm.
And they were just going up against the Marlins, which are the worst team in baseball against left-handed pitching.
Oh, wow.
They have like a 64 WRC plus against lefties.
Well, there you go.
So, he was like the stream of the day, or the DFS play of the day on helped win me some money yesterday. So, I think that it would be smart for them to keep him in the rotation as long as he's performing, especially because I think they would love to break up all those righties with the lefties. So my guess is they move to some sort of 6-man rotation. The question becomes like, do you piss off Scherzer because he's one of those guys that wants his spot in the rotation every 5 days?
That's my thing that makes me think that maybe they're not going to do a 6-man.
Maybe McGill doesn't come back as a starter.
Also true, and that's another reason I brought it up. I don't, as much as I like McGill, I don't know that he's just like locked, loaded, guaranteed to get that job back from Peterson, and that's why I use this Scherzer rehab as a jump off point to talk about Peterson more.
I love McGill, and the skills are amazing, but this is already the second time he's been on the IL this year, and he's a young guy. Do they just decide that, hey, we're going to give you a multi-inning relief role in kind of the meantime and protect you?
I think it'll depend how Peterson's pitching as McGill's working his way back.
Mm-hmm.
I think that'll kind of drive it. So we'll see what happens there. Obviously, keep an eye on Scherzer. Once he's back, you're automatically starting him.
And obviously, like something else could, like another shoe could drop. They've got Carrasco and Taijuan Walker, both guys that have been hugely injury prone.
And Bassett's 33. I hope he stays healthy and everything, but you just got to be honest about an older pitcher there. So, okay, the Mets getting some guys back. Wander Franco starting a rehab in Durham to work his way back. Now, he got off to a remarkably hot start. And, they were running so fast around that victory lap track that I couldn't keep track of everyone who was on there. But I got to be honest, that track's kind of empty these days. I don't I'm being a dick. But look, 270, 305, 421 with 4 homers, 4 steals. Nobody's upset about what they're getting. But the whole, this is why we took him early thing, we're not seeing that as much. And that's why honestly, jokes aside, because I know we talk about this shit all the time, but this is why you don't take victory laps in April. You will look stupid because he did look brilliant. 912 OPS, 313 batting average, 4 homers, 3 steals. People, they shouldn't, but they were extrapolating that. And they're like, boom, nailed this pick. He hit 232 with 0 homers and a steal in May. He played 25 games that month too. It's not like he only played 3 games for Wander Franco. So he gave it all back, and now he's fine, and kind of where the people who didn't love him at his draft cost thought he would be, like myself. Now he may surge, and I will freely eat up an L if he steals 15 plus bases or hits upper teens homers, because those are 2 metrics I didn't think he'd get toward. I didn't think he had the fantasy goodness to be worth the pick that he was at. It was all on batting average. So that's where I was with Wander. I love the talent. I hope he comes back and dominates. What do you expect out of him once he returns from rehab? He's had 1 up month, 1 down. Where does he come out?
I kind of expect him to be that middle road between the two. I don't think he is going to set the world on fire in the way that he did in that first month. I also don't expect him to be nearly as bad as he was in May. So I mean, if he goes, I don't know, like 8-8 rest of the season with good batting average, probably a good amount of runs scored.
For
I
sure.
mean, this Rays team is just getting beat the fuck up. I don't know if you saw the Marco.
Him and Kiermaier out now too.
Yeah, I mean
And
that
what are they gonna
outfield
do?
is.
They already suck. Like, that's the thing. They need him back so badly. We say with a lot of runs for Wander Franco, but is that even guaranteed with how shitty their offense is? We've heard Jason lamenting on yesterday's episode that Brujan was hitting fifth. And you and I have been very pro Brujan. Neither of us would bat him fifth. He's just been so overmatched as a big leaguer.
You got to wonder if they're going to make a move. We talked yesterday about maybe the Dodgers making a move for Michael A. Taylor. I mean, you kind of wonder if Taylor would fit well in Tampa Bay at this point, and then there was an article like literally like the moment we finished recording yesterday, and there'll be trade rumors talking about Michael A. Taylor and his trade value.
That's awesome, though. We were on it. A lot of things that we hit on yesterday like came through right away, and that was I love when that happens.
So yeah, I mean, I like Franco as a player. I think that some people take our conservative nature on younger players as slights, and that's not what they're meant to be.
Exactly.
They're meant to be, we're playing it conservative because we just don't know who a player truly is until they're actually up at the major leagues. And even after their first go around or two, like, you don't even know who a player truly is. So
and we take our gambles too, by the way. It's not like we never take gambles. So I don't want to even
O'Neal Cruz, baby.
Yeah, like we were hot on him for a while. We were both on the Jared Kelenic train last year. So I'm not sitting here saying we're just ultra conservative with prospect picks for sure. And I took Bobby Witt in the 4th round. So again, like, I'm not sitting here being like, I won't take rookies, but I thought Witt's speed upside offered more fantasy goodness than what Franco was doing. And to Witt, no pun intended there. I actually seriously did not mean that. But he's got 8 homers, 10 steals in 64 games for Bobby Witt. So that's kind of why I was on him over Franco at that high level. But I'm rooting for Franco. Like, I don't even care if it makes me wrong on, because I had the whole article of like 5 guys I'm taking off my board, and he was one of them because of his cost. And if he beasts, that's fine.
I mean,
I will eat.
If he beats, I'm not gonna take him out. Only because, like, I had him as like the 11th ranked shortstop, and he was going off the board as like the 10th ranked shortstop. Like, it just was like right there with the crowd. He
was my 10th as well.
I just wasn't willing to pull him up into like my top 5 or 6, which some people were insanely doing, and it just, I'll take the L on other guys. I'm not taking the L on a guy that I had 1 spot below consensus.
Yeah, I think that's totally fair there. So, but Wander Franco working his way back. They need his offense so badly. They need much more though too. I don't think he alone can fix the woes that Tampa Bay has right now, losing both Kiermaier and Margot in the outfield. Now they just called up Josh Lowe, but they're running out of guys. I wonder what Rocco Baldelli's up to these days. Don't hear much from him. I'm just kidding. What if I actually didn't know that he managed in Minnesota? They're like, did this guy not know?
He looks great, by the way.
He looks like
I saw him come out and argue something the other day. I was like, holy shit, he looks like he looks like he's in better shape.
Who's this player arguing?
Yeah. I mean, he used to get injured all the time. When
his body failed him, and like some weird shit too. Like,
it was awful.
What, the mitochondrial thing or whatever? Yeah. He's a what if type of guy. Like, what if the body had cooperated? All right, let's talk about some sneaky stud standouts. Each position, all the offensive positions. I got one. I think I have 2 outfielders. Just guys that are still ranking really high at this point in the year, and where you're at on them for the remainder of the season. And a couple of these guys, the first 2, I think, were on a previous episode, but it was 15 episodes ago. So I think it's okay to check back in on them, including this number 1 guy here, Jonah Heim behind the dish. We talked about him back on May 10th. So it's been over a month since then. And in that time period, I feel pretty solid about what he's done. 5 homers and 2 steals, only hitting .212, but at catcher with 5 homers and 2 steals, that's still pretty good. Bottom line, his full season for Heim is still the 8th catcher. They run 3 catchers on the team right now, but only one of them can catch, and it's Heim. Sam Huff and Mitch Garver are brutal behind the dish. Garver, they've realized, is the DH when healthy, but he is on the COVID-19 IL right now. So it's Huff and Heim. Heim plays most days and bats fourth or fifth. Do you believe that he can remain a top 10 guy from here forward? Not finish top 10, but like be top 10 from today forward.
I mean, I think he can. I don't know that he will. I think it's going to be kind of borderline. Right now, he's got playing time, right? I mean, Garver's, on the IL, but Garver comes back. He catches a little bit. Huff catches a little bit. You just wonder if he's not going to get the volume necessary.
I wonder if Garver catches when he comes back then. Because they have Huff, you can have a 3-man catcher rotation. Why? When Garver's terrible at catching.
I don't know why, but
just like first base DH him.
Garver's terrible at catching. Huff is terrible at catching.
Yeah.
I mean, Heim should play as much as he wants.
You would think.
You would think, but you obviously have to let the Rangers make their own decision in that regard. But I mean, I love the skills, and I know like he's got like a 243 batting average. Like that doesn't like set the world on fire. 245 batting average. It doesn't set the world on fire. But when the league batting average for catchers like 220, that's actually pretty darn good. Like so, we'll actually take a 245 from a catcher when the batting average around the league is that low. Yeah, I mean, I think it was a good call at the time. I think it continues to be a good call. I think he is a borderline top 10 catcher rest of the way. And
I think you definitely ride it out. You'd have to see like a pretty big downturn from Heim to move off of him right now in 2 catcher leagues. And I think even in 1 catcher, you can still hold him. I will say, I think Garver is out of the picture. He hasn't caught since May 8th, and he hasn't been on the COVID IL that whole time. So there was plenty of time that he's mostly DH, and then Huff kind of gets 1 or 2 games here and there. Never back-to-back for Huff behind the dish. So it's Heim's job. I think he can hold top 10. I think he can be top 10 from today forward too. So the sneaky steals, I don't know if we're going to get any more of those, but the 2 steals are definitely helping. He has 8 homers on the season and the 245 average you mentioned. So I like Jonah Heim. I'm sticking with him. Here's a guy. The reason I was not in on Anthony Rizzo was mostly due to the guys going around him, namely Luke Voit, who I have on quite literally every team. That said, I'm not going to use that as a cop-out to then suggest that, but I did like him otherwise. I wasn't in on Rizzo. I had him ranked 15th, just fine. Like, fine. I got no problems with any of that, but I was not super keen on him. That ranking will not make me look too silly at the end of the year relative to everybody else. But Anthony Rizzo is absolutely beasting. You want to talk about sneaky steals? He's already got 6 on the year. Basically, he's already matched last year's work in about 300 fewer plate appearances. He went 22-6 last year. He's 19-6 this year in literally 194 fewer plate appearances. What's up with 32-year-old Anthony Rizzo, and how real is what he's doing?
I mean, I think he's just doing what we kind of expected him to do when he first came over to New York. And when he disappointed last year, everybody was kind of just like, he's old, he's over the hill, he's done. Yeah. And that was just a huge mistake.
Whoops.
It's a bummer for me because in my head, I was like, Rizzo seems like a really great deal. And I just never ended up with him.
Get on board,
I got him, I think, in maybe 1 or 2 leagues, something like that. But I look at some of my teams and I go, oh man, I would so much rather have, Rizzo than this guy, or Rizzo than that guy. Like, I'm rolling out Rowdy Tellez, who's been fine, but I'd love to have Rizzo right here.
Voigt's a top 20 first baseman. And if you take out Tyler Stevenson, who's a catcher and you would never play at first base, he's 19th, and you got Tellez at 17, but Rizzo's 4. And they all kind of went around each other there. And he was pretty cheap in New York. And 32 is not ancient either. So it's a miss. I'm not taking like an L on it or anything. I'm just saying I wasn't on board for Rizzo. I was so heavily Luke Voit.
He's doing everything you need to do to take advantage of that short porch in Yankee Stadium. I mean, he's putting the ball in the air almost 50% of the time. He's pulling it over 50% of the time. Like, he's going, okay, well, I've got a short porch here. I'm just going to loft it over there and hope that it gets over. And it's absolutely working. When you mix those 2 things with a 90% zone contact rate for a power hitter, like you're gonna have a really, really good season. And it's just like I said, just a bummer for me. He's not on more of my teams. But those of you who cashed in on that kind of deflated price after the struggles, after the trade last year, are just got to be loving it. I don't see any reason why it can't continue. Maybe not to this extent, but
okay. Well, let me ask you this then: will he's fourth right now for Rizzo, so he's got a good cushion to hold the top 10 spot all year. Will he be top 10 from today forward? Do you believe? Okay,
I do.
I like it. I can get behind that too. I think I agree with you. I think Rizzo
he's on pace for almost
10.
40 home runs. Like
his plate skills are beautiful; they always are.
Yeah.
He has a 216 BABIP that you could see raising a bit and helping the 238 batting average. But even if it doesn't, just the stuff that he's doing works. Now he is selling out for the power, like you mentioned. So that is cutting into the BABIP. So it's not going to just regress all the way back to the 280 of his career, but he's selling out for the power.
He's also got a 267 X batting average, which means he's gotten a little bit unlucky because of that low BABIP. So like he could easily hit 250 rest of the way, 260 rest of the way with power and
4 or 5
chip in stolen bases. And
Rizzo's a G, man.
Like he's gonna have probably a 35-10 season. And you got him way later than you should have.
That's crazy. And just Google Anthony Rizzo Kevin. His dog is named Kevin, which is hilarious. And is a wiener dog. So that alone should have been why I drafted Rizzo. And
that was a mistake.
Yeah, because I've known about Kevin. I've known about Kevin from his Cubs
doesn't
days.
Judge have one too?
Yes.
Yeah, I mean, I really feel like
I've dropped the ball.
Missed the opportunity to, stack wiener dogs.
Yes, I discussed myself on that one. I would have two of the best players at fair prices too. Judge wasn't overpriced by any stretch, and Rizzo was a downright discount. So,
Judge was overpriced in some of my leagues, but I mean, it isn't over. It's not now, but yeah.
Where was he going? That you felt
he went to the second round of one of my mains.
I'm fine with that. I mean, it's easy to say now, but I was fine with that at the time.
I wasn't, and I'll take the L on Judge for sure. If we're taking L's today, I have no problem taking the L on Judge. I thought there was a reasonable risk that he might not be able to play at home games.
There was the COVID or the vaccine concern for sure.
Especially in those early drafts, he was completely off my board. So
because we didn't know what the mandate was going to be in New York, and he was being cagey about whether or not he was vaccinated.
How much do they hate Kyrie Irving that they were willing to like change it like immediately for Aaron Judge, but not for Kyrie Irving?
Right? He's
like,
probably damn.
That's some bullshit. That's what it is.
You're not Aaron Judge. I mean, Kyrie's for those who don't know basketball, Kyrie is a G. Like he is a Judgian type player. So
I mean, he's nuts though, like as a person.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely. Floating out flat earth theories and shit, and then being like, psych, I might be kidding or I'm not. It's like
he's not kidding. Like, go listen to that podcast where he talks about the flat earth stuff.
Exactly.
He's talking about how like I ride on planes all the time. It looks flat to me while I'm up in the air. I'm like, oh shit.
Oh my god. That's so dumb. He went to Duke, folks. Obviously not for the academics.
Yeah.
Brandon Drury was the other guy I mentioned that we talked about back on May 10th, as a hot hitter like Jonah Heim saying, hey, can this last? Since then, he has maintained high quality. Brandon Drury has since May 10th. Hang on, I'm getting the numbers. Brandon Drury is 8 homers and a steal with 28 runs scored. 28 runs scored. That's really nice. 17 ribbies. That's because of Cincinnati. 258 average, 119 WRC plus. So he has maintained. Brandon Drury is still good. And he actually ranks top 10 at 2 positions. We're using him for second base, where he's 4th. And Brandon Drury continue to do this. He's now into June as a quality player.
The crazy part is that Drury actually, the underlying skills have gotten even better since we last talked.
I love that.
Which is insane. We're talking about a guy with an 86% contact rate, not a zone contact rate. His zone contact rate is almost 95% right now.
For a power hitter like this with Drury?
And I mean, to the point where you start going, he, the 258 batting average since, May 10th, like, is probably unlucky at this point.
Yeah.
Like, he is just barreling the ball up. He's got a max exit velo of 112 during that time. He's making a ton of zone contact, making a ton of contact everywhere, even outside of the zone. It plays in one of the best parks to hit in baseball. You've got to think he's going to get traded. And so the question becomes, where does he end up and what kind of role does he end up
I didn't
in?
think about that. That actually sucks, dude.
Maybe he's the guy that replaces Ozzy Albies in Atlanta, which would be a pretty good landing spot for him.
Yeah.
But
although I think Arcia, to go back to Arcia, I think they're kind of in a similar vein though, right? Like late 20s guys with some real talent. I don't know if they would see that as much of an upgrade, but at least he would play.
And he wouldn't cost very much. Like that's the
true.
thing. Like he's a free agent at the end of the season. So wherever he does end up, wherever he does end up, he's not like teams aren't like picking him up and having to like throw out like a major prospect to get him.
Yeah,
so
I think you throw out like one prospect of some caliber, some decent caliber, like a B-
low A guy, rookie ball guy type thing.
Absolutely, more of a project guy who 3-4
But the
years
perfect guy, he doesn't cost very much, and he's only making like $900K this year. So, like he's not going to cost the team getting him very much, and he doesn't cost much in terms of prospect capital. So, he's going to get moved at the deadline for sure. The question is where, what kind of role.
You say for sure, but the Reds are stupid. So
the Reds are dumb, and they also have like 40 other players they need to move at the same time. So, I mean, there is, I guess, a chance he isn't.
He should be, though. You're right.
He absolutely should be.
He should be. I get it.
And when they have other players on that team that they can't trade their contracts, I mean, they pretty much just, sent Shogo Yakama like back to Japan.
He was a miss for me. I liked him a lot. I thought he could come over and have a couple of years.
I completely missed on him.
He's just not there. But I'm with you on Drury. He should probably get. I mean, not probably. He should get traded. We'll see if they trade him. But he's batting second every day in Cincinnati. That was an easy pickup for me in the main. I'll ride it till anything changes. And he doesn't necessarily get traded somewhere where he doesn't play. That is a possibility. But, you mentioned the Albies opening. If other openings happen, he can play second, third, and outfield for Drury. So he could fill a lot of spots. And hopefully he gets traded somewhere where they want to play him damn near every day.
I mean, I would assume that he would get traded someplace where he's going to be used. Like, teams don't tend to, like, just trade for depth, especially when you're trading for a guy this hot. The question becomes, like, how much does he lose because he's leaving Cincinnati?
Yeah, it just depends on what park he goes to, because Cincinnati's a great place to hit.
Like, for instance, like, he, 15 home runs on the X home runs in Cincinnati. The next highest is Milwaukee with 14, but most of them we're talking about 10, 11 home runs in X home runs.
He has
and that's
8
expected
at home, 6 on the road, but a 104-point batting average difference from 316 to 212. There is a big BABIP difference too, but again, that all goes to the park for Drury as well. So let's hope he stays in Cincy all year. Probably not going to happen.
What the park he would have his worst home runs in?
What?
Baltimore.
Oh yeah, because he's
that
a huge
park,
pole guy, and
that
park
has
completely
just
changed.
Destroyed hitting this year.
Destroyed righties.
That's insane.
He's got a 50% pull rate. Like he's got that pull power. He's prototypical. Drury is with that prototypical pull power. So, that makes sense because of the way that wall has changed things. This guy does not have prototypical power. He has virtually no power. But Luis Arraez has been amazing, and he does have 3 homers, which is more than he had all of last year. So it is worth noting. He's got 2 steals. He's hitting 361, 443, 439. Yes, his OBP is higher than his slug, and he has 74 runs, 21 ribbies. So there is the old empty batting average aspect to it, without a doubt. But when it's that high of a batting average, it's worth it. He is 8th at third base. Can Luis Arraez stay hot? He has a 390 BABIP. I will tell you, since 2015, 1% of qualified hitters have a BABIP 388 and higher. The reason I use 388 is because that's what his BABIP was when I got in a big discussion about Arraez. So 390 is probably even less than 1% of people. So that has to regress. But of course, the question is, as Scott Pianowski would say, regress to what? What does Luis Arraez do from here forward, Justin? Does he remain a top 10 player at any of the positions he qualifies at, which are first, second, third, and outfield?
I think it's possible. I mean,
no,
the fact
it's not. Shut up.
That batting average is so huge right now. Like, when the league batting average is 241, he's hitting 360. Now, he's clearly not going to hit 360 rest of the way.
But doesn't he kind of have to be anywhere near a top 10? Because,
probably. Yeah, probably.
Where was he last year? He was 36th at second base last year. Arraez was, and he hit 294.
But he only played he only had 479 plate appearances last year.
He was 36th. So I think even if you give him another 100 plate appearances, how high can you really move him? He's empty batting average. And like,
he is.
The big thing, if you didn't see it
so helpful on your team.
It is, but you have to have a team construction to take it on. 21 ribbies, Justin. Do you know how many ribbies you need per spot to like really contend? So he's already eating up your best power guys like ribby surplus. So you already have to kind of see him like leeching off of that guy's power. So then the surplus of like a Pete Alonso, if you have him, isn't even going to your bottom line. It's just getting you status quo to have Arraez. So it's really hard. And this is why I don't like these guys without a team construction behind it. And a lot of people probably fell into Arraez this year because
absolutely, like he was going outside like the top 250. Like
exactly. And now you're starting him every day.
Yeah, I mean, he's the perfect reserve guy because
plays everywhere.
He is eligible at every position. So like you need less reserve hitters because if someone goes down, he's the easy fill-in everywhere.
For everywhere.
You know, yes, he's playing over his head, like he's not at 360 rest of the way, but like his XBA is 310. Like he's gonna hit, you know, probably 310 to 320 rest of the way. Like,
but that drop like takes him from like the 8th third baseman probably down to like the 30th though, because there's nothing to stabilize
at third base.
Yes, absolutely. If he hits just 310 with you know the rest of his stuff for Luis Arraez, I think it takes him down to like mid 20s.
I could see like somewhere like, you know, 21, 22, but third base is bad. I mean, it's
21st third
really
baseman right
bad.
now is Ryan McMahon. Who would you rather have rest of year, Ryan McMahon or Luis Arraez?
The fact I'm thinking about it is a problem.
The 30th third, I'll give you another one. 30th third baseman just since returning. He hasn't even played all year, but in 38 games, Josh Rojas is already the 30th third baseman. Who do you want rest of the year?
I
know
Josh
you do.
Rojas.
That's why I'm challenging you.
Yeah, I'll take Rojas. Did you see that catch from Rojas last night?
So slick.
Oh my God.
I love him, man.
I had to watch it like 8 times just to figure out how he held on.
Did you put it in the write-up?
Yeah, I let off with it. I still don't understand how he caught that. I mean, just for those who don't know, like there was a kind of a pop up on down the third base line, and he goes running and slides for it, catches it in his glove, but then slides into the wall and drops it into his other hand.
Yep.
Like it just
like he bumped into, so he slid into it where it's like the little gate in front of the dugout, and so his hand hit it, and it was kind of snow coning out, and then he put his bare hand underneath when he ran into that ball that ran into that post. That was so sick.
It was unreal. Like I was watching it live because I was playing the late night DFS games. And
did you have Cronenworth or Grisham going yard?
I did not. I actually stacked Angels and Royals.
Tit scratch got you, huh?
Yeah. I ended up catching. So
okay, you've been on fire, man. You've been playing
thankfully,
really well.
To Hunter Dozier's late home run, that was huge for me.
Didn't he have a combo meal?
He did, yeah, and he
Yeah,
actually
that
even
means
got
ending.
caught on the stolen base. The Royals decided last night, like I think Mike Matheny was listening to the podcast, and he went, "Hey, you know what? These guys are right. We are a running team."
And it was combined with another thing that Jason called out, the Suzuki Thor combo. So it was the perfect marriage.
Yeah,
And we didn't know that going in, or at least I didn't. Maybe
I didn't know. I didn't think about it.
I didn't think either of you did either, but we talked about both those things independently about how the Royals weren't running as much, and then that the Thor Suzuki combo is the best one to run off of. Merrifield, Dozier, Benny, Lopez all got stolen bases. And like you said, Dozier also got caught. So they were going. And Michael Taylor got picked off. So they were going. They were wanting to do their damn thing out there on the bases finally. So anyway, got derailed a little bit there with the Luis Arraez. I like him. And listen, if you saw my Twitter dust up, Twins fans got really, really mad that I called him Stephen Kwan with 100 points of BABIP. But that is literally who he is. That doesn't mean he's bad. That's the kind of player type that he is.
It's super funny.
They're so mad, but that's exactly what he is. I hope he does well. I root for Luis Arraez, but let's be honest about what he is. The batting average will come down. Dansby Swanson, a longtime friend of yours.
My boy.
I always feel it's worth noting that the only reason you ever didn't like him was his price spiked up to like a top 10 shortstop. And that was always the
people
crux
can
of your
stop
thing.
tweeting at me.
Is
Justin going to take the L on
Dansby
Swanson? I was just as high as the market was on him this year. I don't know.
This is an old thing that hasn't died because he had that one spike. And then going into that next season, I forget even what year it was, but he had a spike and people were going crazy over him. And you were like, no. But since then, you've been just with the
2017.
It's been a long time.
So let it go, people.
You've been with the market.
I was
since.
right.
And but he's having a brilliant season. Now, he was kind of an accumulator last year, 27, 88, 9. With 78 runs and 248 average. Solid season because he played 160 games. But this year, Dansby Swanson is at 9 homers, 11 steals, and a 293 average so far. He has been killing it. He's the third shortstop behind Trey Turner and Tommy Edman. Can Dansby Swanson keep this up? Is this a full-scale breakout season?
I don't think so. I love the fact that he's running. If you had told me prior to the start of the season he was going to steal 11 bases on the year, I would have been like, hey, that's nice.
That's
double
fine.
digits. I'll take that.
That's a full season mark for him. Yep. That's
the
a
fact
new career high, by the way.
Yeah, the fact he's got 11 already is just fucking gravy.
Justin, can I throw in something else though too? He had 2 only in April with a 644 OPS. Swanson was probably getting cut in a bunch of tens as well.
I'm sure we talked about him as one of the struggling guys early on in the season. I talked about him on different podcasts because there were people who were asking,
shall we drop candidates? Episode 1043 on April 22nd. We talked about cutting him because he'd been terrible.
Yeah. That being said, the 293 batting average, I think is fraudulent. I mean, he's striking out at the highest rate of his career, and the zone contact is only 80%, which is a fair amount below league average. So I think the batting average is going to come back to earth. As the batting average comes back to earth, probably won't run quite as much. I wouldn't be surprised, though, if he the end of the season line looks like 275 and 25-20 almost, or maybe 25-17, something like that. That it'd be really a fantastic season. And so yes, it is the levels at which he's doing what he's doing unsustainable. I do believe so, but that doesn't mean he's going to be bad rest of the way. Because the biggest issue with Swanson, prior to the 2020 season, was health. And he really had a hard time staying on the field. And he couldn't accumulate in the way that he has now the last 2.5 seasons. So because it seems like he has gotten past those issues, there's no reason to think he's not going to be on one of the best teams in baseball and accumulate a ton of statistics. So
Yeah, I'm in on the Dansby Swanson thing. I believe it. And I will say, so looking at that, we talked about him as a shallow league drop. The guys that we recommended picking up are Jeremy Pena, Tyro Estrada, and Jorge Mateo. So looking at that group since April 22nd, obviously Swanson has been the best. So if you dropped him, you lost on that one, no matter who you picked up. But all three of those pickups were not bad. 9 homers, 11 steals, and a 330 average. All 9 homers and all 11 steals have come since that episode.
Yeah,
for Swanson. But Jeremy Pena has 7 and 6 with a 270. Tyro Estrada has 3 homers, 7 steals, and a 272. And Mateo is only hitting 190, so that definitely hurts. But he has 14 steals.
Yeah, he's kind of an unreal amount.
So you'd be bummed about dropping Swanson, but it wouldn't have been stupid to cut him in a 10 based on what he was doing because there were viable pickups. And now he's just beasted. And that's the thing. And we talk about this all year. When you cut guys in 10s like that, you're not saying that they're done and that they can't do anything. You're saying, I can't hold them right now. They might come back around, but I can't do it. I got to move. I got to go get somebody who's performing. So he did come back around, though. Congrats to Swanson. Last guy we're going to talk about. I didn't act on it, so I'm not taking any credit for it. But late in draft season, I had an inkling that maybe the hate had gone too far on Adolis García. And like I said, I only moved him up so slightly in my outfield that it didn't get him anywhere. It didn't matter. It was just more of a gut thing that I'm like, maybe that's a power speed guy that's going to play every day because he has great defense. I didn't act on it. I wish I would have. I think the market did go too far. We were kind of collectively out on him, which I was impressed by. Usually, especially with power speed guys, there's somebody out there willing to kind of pay the full freight for somebody who went 31-16 the year before, just as Adolis García did. But that wasn't happening. And yet here he is, 13 homers, 11 steals, 253 average. Can't go wrong with what Adolis García is doing so far this year. What do you think about him, and where were you on him in draft season?
He was a guy that I was somewhat fading just because of the high risk profile, but I ended up getting kind of late in drafts because of exactly what you were saying. He was just going so late. He was
Pick
worth the gamble. And I figured at worst he was going to steal bases.
Yes, like 20 steals for pick 200. You take that.
Yeah, exactly. So, I mean, I did end up with him in a couple spots. It's so hard to make what he is. Like, it just, I don't quite get it. Like, he's hitting 253, but he's actually getting unlucky, right? His XBA is 273, so 20 points below his above his actual BA.
And I think that's his work against lefties, where Adolis García is hitting 203 with a 244 BABIP. I think he probably deserves some better luck there if he's hitting the ball well against them.
But he's also got a 77% zone contact percentage and a 17% swing strike percentage, which tells me like he should
17?
be. Yeah, like he should have like a 35 to 40% strikeout rate.
Yeah.
And he's actually has cut his strikeout rate this year. So like not a lot of what is going on with him makes a ton of sense. So I mean, I think with a guy like this, he reminds me kind of not at the prime, but just over the prime of his career, Carlos Gomez.
I knew it.
And like where there's still power, there's still speed.
Yep.
But they're going to be huge ups and downs.
That's exactly the comp. I completely agree with it.
And so you just got to be able to ride with those. He's one of those guys that I think in head-to-head leagues, he's super, super frustrating because he's going to win you as many weeks as he's going to lose you. But in Roto, you go, hey, I'm just going to put him in there, close my eyes, and then check at the end of the season. And, I mean, if we had been told, like, that he was going to be halfway through the season, we're not even halfway through the season, and have 13 home runs and 11 stolen bases, you'd be like, I'll take that any day. Like, screw it if it comes with a 220 average. It's come with a 253 average, and like I said, XBA is 273. Like, if you drafted Adolis García, like, you should be, like, over the moon right now. Like, anything else you get on top of this is gravy. Like, yeah.
You can hit a little back pat on that one because, if you had told me that he's going at least 50 picks higher, if not 80 picks higher, up at like 120. If you guaranteed me those numbers, I'm probably taking him over Miles Straw, who went pick 120.
You pretty much, where you drafted him for, you needed him to produce what he has already produced.
Yeah, a double-double was all you were looking for. You've already got
Yeah,
it. Now
you've
you're
already
on your
got it.
pace.
Yeah.
You're on your way to like 22-22 type deal with Adolis García. So hats off to him. You know, he could still have a second half fall off the way he did. But even with the second half fall off last year, he went 31-16. So they're letting him play because he has sparkling defense. And it was the defense that even led me down the path of maybe we're going too harsh on this guy because, yes, the bat is a disaster. Sub 300 OBP has carried over this year. But what's Texas going to do? Not play him? Like, who do they got? And now, freaking Charlie Culberson, didn't he run into Eli White?
Eli White is done for the year.
Yeah, I think Jason.
Leotis Taveras, he's up. But like, I don't think he's a real threat. I mean, they clearly do not like Leotis Taveras. Like, he was being stuck in the minor leagues until Eli White got hurt. So I think Garcia's going to play no matter what. I think they're just going to give him a lot of run.
Will they trade him though? He's 29 years old. Do you think Adolis García could get traded?
I mean, he could. The question becomes, let's see, when does he become a free agent? He's not a free agent until 2027. So I know he's 29. Yeah, he's a random pickup. I mean, he could get traded because, like I said, he's 29, so he's going to be 30 at the beginning of next season. Like, is he going to be a part of the next great Rangers team?
That's what I'm thinking, right?
And here's my only reason I think he might not is the Rangers in some way are now the American League version of the Rockies, which they have no idea what they're doing because they think their next great team is coming up very soon. Yeah, now, we all look at it and we go, your next great team, like I don't know if Corey Seager is part of the next great.
Oh, come on.
Rangers team. So like, is Adolis García? Like, no, I don't think Adolis García is, but I think they think he could be.
Okay. Well, they might not trade him. Yeah, I don't think he's anywhere near as tradable as Drury in terms of like a must trade type of thing.
Yeah, I think teams are much, especially teams looking for center fielders, are going to be much more likely to go after like Michael A. Taylor, or other guys, because I think if they do trade Garcia, they would need to get a lot, and I just don't know that teams are going to want to pay a lot for a guy with his contact skills. That's already 29.
Yeah, that's true too, because like if you do have him for that long, are you going to commit to like making him like a fourth outfielder type? If you're a team that's buying that is better than the Rangers. So we'll see. I don't think he gets traded. Let's let him play every day. Just kind of ride this out. They found him off the wire and just see what we get. You know, I think that's kind of the way to play it with Adolis García. But as far as fantasy for this year, set it and forget it right now. Unless he has a big fall off to where he's just hurting you too much. There's enough power and speed here.
You've already like profited like pretty much. Like it's like I'd have to run the actual numbers, but my guess is you're pretty darn close to having profited where you got him.
Oh yeah. Again, I mean, let me see. I don't know what the dollar value to draft is, but let's do 22 year to date. Let's see what he's returned in the outfield for Garcia. Adolis García. I mean, he's the fifth outfielder.
That's insane. I mean,
yeah. So I don't even know if we have to do a dollar calculation.
No, I mean, I think you're doing pretty damn well right now.
Okay, well, that's going to wrap it up for some sneaky stud standouts. We'll be talking pitchers on Friday with if your rankings are ready to go. If not, we'll find something to talk about pitcher base, but it might just be your rankings versus mine. But anyway, back-to-back episodes. Had a blast with you again, and we'll talk again on Friday.
Take it easy.